I own a small business, second home care, out of Truckee, California, up here in Lake Tahoe. We take care of people's vacation homes. It's a pretty simple business, but scaling it is where, it gets a little bit tricky. We're here in Truckee. We're in Incline Village, North Tahoe, and also in Kona, Hawaii. So we've got 3 locations that we run and manage about 350, 400 homes over the 3 areas. So we took over the business, and the company, the brand had been around for a while. The company had been around since the early 90s. So long-standing brand. Second Home Care is kind of like the Kleenex of this business. Had been around for a long time. Wasn't doing all that well. It was just kind of plodding along through its second owner, and we took it over with the intention of streamlining it, making it hyper productive, and then growing it into other markets. And so pretty quickly we started looking at the branding, the marketing, did this fit with our long-term strategy? And just really, we had the decisions even on things like, do we keep the name? Do we turn it into something a little bit broader? But made a decision ultimately to keep the name Second Home Care. Changed out the look and the feel of the website, modernized that. My process is always to work with the people that are the closest I can get to the people doing the actual work.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll find someone who does website development and work with them directly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not big on agencies. I'm not big on middle managers or PMs coming in and trying to decipher what I'm saying and then go turn around and tell someone else, and then we've got this going on.
Yeah.
I like to work directly with the coder or the programmer or the designer or whatever it may be. And so I had help doing that, and moved it over from it was like an individually coded site. We moved it over to Squarespace pretty quickly, just because we did not need anything fancier than that, and it works really smooth. So we're still on Squarespace,
Yep.
all these years later for the main website. Started looking at, talking about brand, people, process, technology, all those things go hand in hand. Before we got into the marketing of it, we really needed to dig in and understand what the process was and how we were going to become more productive using technology. Spent a few months just trying to figure out, why are the things being done the way they are? What's all these manual processes? We've had stacks of books of inspections and all this stuff going on, faxes being sent back and forth.
Yeah.
This old school stuff that was going on that was really dragging down the productivity and the interaction with the clients. We came up with the right tool. We found the right tool to manage the field. So field management tools are a whole space in themselves. Yeah, we use a company called ServiceMate, which is an Australian based company, hence the mate. And they, we didn't take that decision lightly. We'd gone through a couple of other trials with companies, and I looked at, I don't know, dozens of them. There's so many out there. They are literally a dime a dozen. And so there's hyper specific ones that just work. Some things just work for a specific business. And for ours, it was ServiceMate. So yeah, we interviewed and trialed a bunch, and there's a few sticky things that matter. And one of the things that matters for us in this business is the ability to work offline.
Mm-hmm.
So native apps that have offline capability, so that my team, we're constantly going into the mountains and into these different areas that don't have great service. And then the snow comes down, and then the vacationers come up and the service is really bad. So we need to have a thing that can work offline, get into homes, do the inspections, do the work, whatever, document, and then get back to the ranch and upload it. We figured out the right tool, and then we built the combination process of, how the people are going to work with the technology by going through the tool, right? And as you configure and customize one of these tools, that's where a lot of value is added. I like to configure things more than customize them, but there are things that need to be customized. directly. And there's folks out there. I mean, for any of these big tools that have decent amounts of users, there's consultants out there. But no, on the marketing side, it was really trying to figure out, who do we want to be? How do we want to show up, and who do we want to show up in front of, and to be where the clients are. It's a combination for us. It's a combination of local, print, and digital. And local is showing up on cars, having a sign up, having it on our cars, the T-shirts, right? Just showing up well in front of customers on their video camera, whatever it may be, as we roll up to their home.
Oh, interesting.
So the local side is important. Print is important for us because it's hyper targeted. We target certain neighborhoods and certain owners in certain neighborhoods. So for us, the general population doesn't need to know about us. The only people that need to know about us are the ones that have a home here but don't live here. Other than that, we want to stay under the radar. And so we hyper focus on certain HOA type magazines, HOA led print opportunities. We use a lot of direct mail. Direct mail is really, really strong. Print direct mail, right? It's old school, but we love it, and we can really manage the spend on it quite readily. And it's very targeted down to individuals. So we're not blasting zip codes. We slice it from people that own the homes there but don't actually live there. So second homeowners. So people who live there full time aren't getting our ads. And so, yeah, it's pretty specific. We run it out of our business using some tools, a tool set, and we press the button, right? We'll design it and then press the button and say, okay, send, and that gets sent to a print house that sends it out for us. But it's pretty simple. We can sit and decide, I want to send out to any new homeowner that matches this criteria. And, in 5 minutes, the button's pressed and we send it out and move on. On the digital side can be a total money sink. And I found that, so we use it, right? So we use it by optimizing and making sure that we're going to be organic search. We're able to be found organically. We have. But as far as the backlinking and all that, we don't keep someone on staff for that, or even continue to do it every month. Like, we'll do it 6 months and say, okay, let's get this ranking up, and let's move off of that. And those types of individuals come from Upwork, and they're always interesting in their take. But we don't, it's an individual who's got expertise in that. I've found that I don't enjoy working with agencies on that. Again, it goes back to, like, find me someone who just knows what they're doing. And let's talk about how Incline Village is different than Hawaii, which is different than Truckee, and figure out what we need to do for each of those. We again, try to do as little as possible, but it gets really expensive pretty quickly. Google search, trying to ferret out the difference between national search versus local search can get a little tricky, considering a lot of our folks aren't here searching. They're somewhere else. They see the car, they see the magazine, they see an email that comes out from the general manager of this HOA or whatever, and then they're seeing on their Facebook feed, and it just kind of all works together. And so it's hyper targeted, but it's across the local print digital spectrum, and that seems to work pretty well for us. I worry about it less than I should. In general, we've gone through and we've used a tool in the past. I'm forgetting the name, but getting out and contacting people and asking them for reviews is not something that we do that's supernatural. So what we do is we get internal reviews through our systems that say like, hey, what do you think of this cleaning? So we keep it internal, and we share that with the team and get a chance to get ahead of any issues internally. And we have a ton of clients that stay with us for years and a decade, and we don't have a lot of reviews. No, we haven't needed them. The only thing I'd say that can get in the way is if there's a bad one that were to pop up. The online review game is tough. Even trying to ferret through something as mature as Amazon's reviews, right, is really tough. And so it does. It probably scares me more than I like it. I mean, we'll see is where I'm coming out. I think it has, obviously it's having a big impact already on content creation, right? No doubt. So, if we really wanted to go deep into the blogs, that would be something that would obviously have immediate impact on us. When it comes to customer service, I think there's potential for the after hours call center triage type of customer service to be improved using it. My expectation there is that my call center who handles after hour calls will build that in and they'll make that an offer. And so they'll do better, whether that's scripting and how the scripts come across to an individual, or automation, phone trees, whatever. I assume they'll start building that in, and they probably already have, into how that plays out for that triage for core client service, which is something that our team takes really seriously and is one of our core capabilities. It's going to be limited in the midterm. It might be great in further out. But the problem I see with it for us is usually the answers are middling and the answers are kind of mediocre or worse. It's kind of like Googling, and they're non-specific to the home. And so we've got some real specific things that need to be known to kind of bring it all together. And I haven't seen really great training opportunities for something that would keep it internal. And so we'll see how that plays out. Like our field management tool is already building some AI things. Not yet. I mean, they bake it in. They say, oh, you can create a response to an email, right, using these prompts and whatnot. And that's fine. But the reality is we've got our own, our culture and our brand is built around a certain type of tone. And depending on the client, that tone changes also, and depending on the request. And so there's a lot of elements that go into how we respond and how we talk to clients and how we treat them, right? And some it's a little bit, with some humor or some seriousness level that depends on the occasion, really, in the particular client, the particular situation. We've worked with them for 5 years. We know them super well, or it's brand new. And my gosh, this is a serious issue that we've got to cover. So anyway, right now we're not using it in any meaningful way to create the email responses or to have any type of automatic responses pushed out. It's different across the individual. And so we still get a lot of emails. People are still sitting behind computers a lot of the day and they're sending emails out. The texts are more prevalent for sure. And the phone calls are probably the least. They still take up a lot of time. And it's certainly on a different clientele. I'd say it's older clientele, but not necessarily. And sometimes it's just really people that sometimes it's the starter clients that are hyper anxious about their home up here, which is fine, right? And we can use the phone conversations to alleviate that and let them know, like, hey, we got you. They love to hear, like, hey, you have an issue at your house, but we're here and we've got this covered. We use a unique client service portal to manage that. Bring text in with emails and be able to manage and collaborate across the issues that come up. That's a company called Missive App. Missiveapp.com, I think um, is the website. And it's nice because it's really a communication portal that can bring in social and chat and text and email all together in one. And it allows us to collaborate on a particular stream, any of those streams. We can have internal conversations on it and decide what to do and then make the response. You got to kiss a lot of frogs to find the right prince or princess for your organization. It's feature first, but price is important. So it's got to be scalable. But the feature set was right on both of those, and what they had and what they didn't have. So they weren't forcing you into a particular, this is Gmail only, or this is, you got to use a ticketing system, and here's how that works, right? Which just gets uber complicated and just way more than it needs to be. So it's what they have and what they don't have feature wise. And then on pricing, I love ServiceMate for its single price, and I can throw as many contractors or seats on it as I want. And so they're not nickel and diming me on seats and like, if I want to add a new contractor, I got to think about, is that an extra $40 a month for them to be on the platform? That's just a killer. And so their pricing model is just really, really useful. I love the collaboration that allows across countries. We've got people in the Philippines, we've got people in the East Coast, we've got people in Hawaii, we've got here in the West Coast. And so it allows us to collaborate across all of that without anything complex. It's just seamless. Right on. Yeah. And they're bringing AI stuff in as well. Just like everybody is, right, on responses and stuff. So we'll see how these tools that fit really well for us, imagine AI being brought in, and then we'll leverage it as it fits us specifically.